Okay, the last one I was talking about web service. In fact, I gave a brief introduction about how to get an API keys for Google Web Service because I've seen this is a very important one because if you notice, you're developing for an bank which has a bunch of ATMs. So anyone who uses the app want to check where the nearest ATM is possible. So there you need to get a Google specific web server, convert your latitude, longitude and find the nearest address location. So there you would need that. So that's the reason I gave an introduction about that as well. Even though we do not have access to it, uh, but you can create a API keys. I hope you do not have a restriction on Google website or whatever thing in the previous or maybe the last video has information about how to get the Google APIs or API key for your Google web service. For example, map, uh, mostly for maps, or if any other specific these things, right? So using the certificate fingerprint you create a API keys. I've already created. I just need to see how I can uh, consume it and retrieve the values. A small example. The last example, we wrote a location listener and with along with that location manager which is getting the location updates as the user makes a move. That's what we did the last example. I have two providers, GPS network providers. GPS provider will try to get an location coordinates from satellites, GPS satellites. Depending on your phone, it may be having access to GPS or GLONASS. GPS is a US variant of a geopositioning service, and GLONASS is a Russian equivalent one. These are all the two is right now publicly available. Uh, India has launched its own satellites which may be released for public use. I'm not sure. I'm not authorized to say that. The positioning satellite name has been given like Irene, I remember. So whatever may be, which whatever bird flying above you, which is going to give you a latitude and longitude. So using that, we have to convert it as a readable format. Google has a plenty of web service for that. So all you need to send the latitude, longitude either through get or post method, retrieve the value in JSON or XML. I'm planning to choose JSON to start with because you already know JSON object and how we can parse them, how to retrieve them. XML is still being used for some other developments or some legacy development or legacy enterprise applications still give XML as a web service. So there we will also see how to parse the XML. The point is web service, it's a term like where a cross-platform communication is required. It's again another story because I have thought of continuing for next few minutes, so I'll leave for a break and then I start the code. Web service. Can anyone tell me what is web service? On your understanding, you do not need to give me a definition or anybody from the book or text or whatever. What do you think about web service? Web service. What is a website? This is, pardon? What is a website? Pardon? Then what is web page?
Collection of web elements.
Pardon?
Collection of web elements.
What is web element? The day one example I already gave. If you say something which I do not understand, that itself will become a question. Otherwise, I'll have to bring the security guy. I'll ask him to stand here, make him understandable. What is web service? He has to say, "Acha sahab, I understood." Can you make him understand? That way, you need to talk. Remember, your project is you're going to talk to a non-techie guy who is going to give a project requirement to you. One. The second, whatever project you write, it is going to be for a common man, not for you or technical or anybody who are going to work or going to use the app. You know, your WhatsApp, Facebook is quite famous because it is very useful for even a common man. He can easily understand. So your solution also should be eyeing to that. So what is web service? Okay, you did not understand something you're failing. So I gave a very easiest next question. What is a website? Website? How many times you are seeing that? I don't know. Now, can you tell me what is website? In a common man point of view. Pardon? I accept that, right? Any other?
Sunrise or environment.
Okay. Uh, if people are coming from like when you're talking to your father or your mother, he or she may ask, you spent 4 years in your engineering college. What do you learn? What did you learn there? If he asks, what you will say? You will give an convincing answer, whether it is true or false, that is different. Stating that I learned this, so I can do these things much better than others. Like that, you have to justify your parents. Like that, please justify website. Yes, I can see the content anywhere if I have an internet access. Somehow I agree. Without internet access, also I can see that is different. The point here is website. Slightly technical point of view, website. We have internet browsers which runs HTML code. So anything written in HTML can be displayed as a page. That's what we are doing. So in order to display a content, I need a HTML. That's what the website is being created and loaded. So that web page also word came. To display a content, we need HTML. Okay. So anything which can run HTML can display the content. Fine. But my problem is here. I do not have some application which can understand HTML. But I still want to send the data. In that case, you will end up in a different scenario. See, that's where the evolving standard started coming, I said. For example, you have a content which can be shown in an internet browser, fine. Suddenly the information has to be sent to a user phone as an SMS. SMS is not some place where an HTML code can be displayed. Your SMS, think about the old device and not the smartphones at least. The very old devices or maybe a conventional basic phone can display a text, but surely it is not an HTML. It is some different area where still the same information is being sent and displayed. That is the entirely different platform. Like that, various other platforms which cannot process HTML are there. Those kind of area where I need to send or receive or process information, a web service has come. Web service tried to break the platform dependency one. Try to address it. I'm not saying that this is the only solution, but they're trying to address it. They simply send a text, not bound within the HTML tags or any other program specific, not even JavaScript. Format in such a way so that the end user can follow the same decoding technology and retrieve the content. So it produces a text. When you call an URL, that text is being downloaded in your device and it is being passed according to or coded, decoded according to the incoming content, and the data is being displayed. That is a widely used standard. For example, how to try to address the platform independency also I can say. For example, your server where you have written enterprise resource application which is based off a .NET or Microsoft platform, which process, have a database persistence layer, and handle the content, manage everything, and no problem of delivering the content through browser. But now you have one more server you bought from some other resource that is based off Java or some other open source platform. This server needs the data from this server, the .NET based one. Both are running at two different platforms, but all they need is the information which is coming from this particular server has to reach this one. So instead of giving a standard HTML page, it can give a XML or JSON, produce it, and send it through an HTTP. Anything can be processed through HTTP because almost all the programming language has the capability of handling HTTP request, get the content, and handle its own parsing and display wherever it is needed. You remember today, if you are traveling, we have a lot of booking engines. What you call online tickets, so you can buy it. Forget about Indian Railways because that's a different area because it's entirely a big platform. But if you notice, if you try to buy a bus ticket or flight ticket, various vendors are there. See, for example, in Indian Airlines, SpiceJet, Indigo, and various companies are there. But when you go to a common like Book My Ticket or Yatra, there are various websites are there, which fetches the information of the available tickets from various resources. A SpiceJet may be having a different server. Indigo may be running in a different server. Indian Airlines may be running in a different server. All information has to be brought up and it has to be consolidated into one single platform so that user can see the information. So this kind of a thing is possible so that everybody can talk to a common language. Then the information exchange would be easy. The Google Web Service in this case, when you supply latitude and longitude through HTTP request, that's what it demands. It could be from a .NET source, could be from Java, could be from PHP, could be from Ruby, could be from anything. All you need to make HTTP request, it will send you a JSON or XML. And it's up to you to process and display in a content. So that particular in between the service layer, what we are talking about, is a common. So web services try to address the platform independency and try to address the consolidating requirement of data and various other way it is helping us. And it also helps us to have the business logic separated and give entire freedom to have its own language wherever the developer is comfortable of. For example, a company X is very good at .NET development. They have done various new innovative products, but only problem is on the .NET. Whereas I'm having some sort of server which is not of a .NET or any other. So what I can do, I can still hire a service. We can demand him instead of giving web pages. Please give me a service layer. So give me a web service document. Give me the list of URLs, whatever URL access, whatever data will be coming. Just tell them. They will give you a web service description language document. Depends. I'm talking about the old age one. So SOAP, RESTful, WSDL, a lot of things you may have discussed and maybe even knowing about it. So they'll give you a documentation set of URLs stating that this is the URL, but you need to send these attributes. Once you send, you will get this result. Once the document is arrived, you can develop your own client with any programming language, call the URL, get the data, and display it. The backend still abstracted. Nobody knows. Now we are trying to do the same here because Google has a big services behind because as far as the geo positioning or sorry not geo positioning, geo surveying I can say, Google almost documented entire Earth, and in fact they are even going ahead, even other planets also they are mapping now. If you see a Google Earth software, if you download it, you can even navigate the full moon. And in fact, they have even addressed that which place, where, who landed, where Neil Armstrong landed, or whomever, everything they have marked it now. So they are going beyond. So what we need is of course Earth. So they have geo surveyed almost everything. So Google Map has every bit of information. Huge resources involved. These people are every day updating. In fact, the open source community is also there, Wiki Mapia. So you can also define, help Google to identify the places. And of course, Google has, its own commercial development on that. So they are surveying and they are marking other places which is of common use or public use. So we do not know what platform, what kind of software they are using to create that. Whereas Google helping us, they are giving, okay, this is the URL. You pass the parameter, I'll give you the values. That's what Google tells. And I'm going to do that. So all I need to send some parameters to a specific URL. The URL, once it is processed, give me a response, and that response may be of XML or JSON. That is, so when I get a response JSON or XML, I know how to read or decode the information. Of course, you know how to handle the JSON object. You already saw some example, a few exercise before. So when the information reaches, you can display it in your phone, or in this case, the Android device. So that's an example what I'm going to do. Uh, Let me see. Web services. This geocoding, reverse geocoding, and forward geocoding or reverse geocoding, we say. I'm particularly interested on the reverse geocoding. Reversing mean geocoding mean converting a particular location into a latitude longitude. So one spot is denoted as a latitude longitude, that is called geocoding. Reverse geocoding mean using the latitude longitude to retrieve the physical address. So I'm particularly interested on that. So Google is giving an URL stating that just change these value with the one what is your location listener is giving, latitude comma longitude, and whatever API key generated at the end. When you call this URL from the respective device, because the API key, if you are created for Android device, make sure that particular API key is put here. Then a sample or kind of response will come like this. They're giving an idea, okay, this is what you will receive. There are various things are there, address components, because any information may not be accurate, because it depends on the latitude longitude, how much accurate you are giving, that much accurate the Google server can fetch the detail. If you are giving a, see, this particular latitude looks like a slightly less accurate, because the particular decimal followed by a dots seems to be very limited, maybe 16 or 18 digits long, maybe there. Once you have a clear cut information, you will get exact same address. But I am going to look at the particular object called formatted address, which is a string type, seems to be, because it looks like a string. So a JSON attribute, which is, so for example, result gives me an array, looks like. In that, okay, result also has an array and also has an object called formatted address, because the array ends here itself. I want to retrieve this particular readable address so that I can display on my phone. So as you make a movement, the exact physical address would be displayed. This would be very helpful if you are traveling. So anytime you open your application, see that, okay, I'm here, so you can read it like that. Of course, you can open your map so you can see it, but I'm trying to emulate this similarly. So how it works. So this thing I wanted to process. A simple example on how to make a HTTP call. HTTP mean any call through hypertext transfer protocol, uh, a kind of rules and definitions given by the networking company which handles the internet thing. So this is beyond to our discussion, because we are not networking guys, but all I need to make a HTTP request, and it will give me a HTTP response. From the response, I retrieve this JSON and read the value, display it. And this snippet would be, you would be doing again and again, because most of the enterprise applications will be hosted in a different server. And say ICICI Bank ICICI Bank may be hosted somewhere else, but they will give you a URLs for web service URL. All they will ask you to make, okay, call this URL, send the account number, password, and some sort of encryption key. Once you make the call, they will give you a balance. That particular JSON response will come. You will be displaying. So similar thing. I'm trying to just say a bank may work in that way. So if you are developing application for mostly enterprise application, that's my assumption because I'm not really clear about what kind of requirements the company CTS has. But as far as CTS and their business logic, I'm considering you would be put into enterprise application development. So your application development mostly using web servers. So that small snippet of code would be very helpful for you. That's the reason I had to give this much longer explanation about it. In fact, we have already tested the asynchronous async task, some example which will call the URL inside a thread or inside a different process, so that I can make a call to URL safely. When the result is available, I can connect it with the UI thread, whatever. So the thread and other confusion is there also. I'll give another clarification on that. So that example, once we are done, I'll leave for this particular day, so you can spend on that. Maybe some other example if I have in the afternoon, I'll do it. Down the line tomorrow, we have some small snippet of the code. For example, QR coding. That's what I was talking. When I talk about QR coding, you'll naturally see what is how to handle camera, because the QR coding generation or reading it's based on the camera. So we'll also see what is how to handle the camera intent, and also we'll see implicit explicit intents. So far whatever we have done is all explicit intents, mean your intent call whatever you made is within your application. So start activity, you pass an intent, that next the activity itself is part of your application. Implicit intents, those are system intents which is already there, like open the settings page, open the phone book, open the gallery, or open the camera, or pick the data from phone book, open the dialer, make a call. These are all, of course, still intent, but these are all implicit intent because they are part of the system. So how to call them as well? It's a one bunch of list is there and permission. And how to handle the launcher and other sharing. For example, if your application is a social networking specific one, so when a user go open the gallery application, if you say share button, your application name also could be listed over there. So how to handle these are all the small but down the line I'll cover it. I do not see this kind of requirement you will have in your enterprise development. If at all, if it comes, you can still use them. So that's why these are all the least important one. In fact, the content provider was also a least important one. Whatever critical part we have already covered. Okay. I'll leave you for a break. Make sure come back exactly 10 minutes, because at least half an hour it will take, otherwise it will impact your lunch break.